One of the more interesting aspects of the last episode that you might or might not have noticed was Sally's ESP didn't come into play at all. It didn't always need to. The show's basic intent was to explore the joys and not so joys of being newlyweds. Rather than big plots involving major events, our sitcom chose to look at the little things that are really what make or break a marriage, such as chocolate hens.
Do you know we're not a normal couple?
I never doubted it for a minute.
Well, it says here that most normal couples have a major fight within 3 months of their wedding.
My schedule's pretty tight this week. Maybe I can fit it in. How's your time Thursday?
And look at that, the article even has a list of possible topics. Pick one and schedule it for Thursday.
What do you think it'll be about, huh? Something heavy like me finding out you bugged my phone?
No, I think it'll be about you asking me what our first major fight will be about while I'm trying to read the newspaper.
My new bride and I had some fusses, but we expected it. Everybody told us the first year would be the hardest ever. That's when you're sorting out who you are, who your spouse is, where the boundaries are, and it's possible to do all that and have a ball doing it because we did. We had so much fun our first year, it pretty well set the tone for every year afterward. In good American fashion, most of our arguments were about money because, one, we were dirt poor. There were times when we literally lived on love for a few days at a time. And two, my 19-year-old bride hadn't yet grasped the idea that you can only spend $1 once. After that, it's not there anymore. It took a few months of learning to budget before that fact penetrated, but once it did, she became a financial wizard. And as quick as we got on our feet and reasonably solid, she went back to school and became the world's best nurse. The rest, as they say, is history. Right now, John needs to head for work and he's expecting a rough day. He doesn't need this.
Oh, terrific. I bet that's my brother.
How do you know that?
Oh, he always drops in at the most inconvenient times. It's just gotta be him.
Being able to know that is my thing, John.
Oh, I'll tell you something else. He will have a girl with him.
That's easy. He always has a girl with him.
And she will have a dopey name like Bunny or Cookie. And she'll have a body that'll make you forget the dopey name.
That's why a gentleman who wants to keep his thoughts pure looks only at the dopey name, not at the killer body.
I'm going upstairs to get dressed because that kind of insecurity can just stick with you the whole day.
If she really thinks John is interested in any of Jerry's trophies, she hasn't been reading his mind lately. John is right, it's Jerry and he has a girl with him with a knockout body. But she doesn't have a dopey name like Bunny or Cookie.
Hi.
Hi, Jerry.
Say hello to Amber.
Hello, Amber.
I just thought I'd drop off the package Mom sent you.
Thanks. Let's come in the kitchen. I'll fix you a quick cup of coffee.
Are we trying to say Amber is a dopey name? I rather like it, and it's not that unusual. What's in the package?
It's his chocolate hen.
It's what?
His chocolate hen. As a little kid, he loved chocolate hens, so every year Mom sends him one.
Oh, every year your mother sends you a chocolate hen?
Didn't I just say that?
It's no exaggeration to say Terry Garr made a career out of that expression. Her father was an actor and her mother was a dancer, so she got started quite young. She learned dancing from an early age, and by her teenage years, she was part of the dancing chorus in several Elvis Presley movies. As she started to move into acting, the role of Roberta Lincoln in the Star Trek episode Assignment Earth got her some attention. It was supposed to be a backdoor pilot for a spin-off featuring her and Robert Lansing, but it never happened. Still, it catapulted her to more and better roles, and by the time she was in Tootsie with Dustin Hoffman, she got nominated for an Oscar. But around that time, she started noticing some little health issues. They turned into big issues, and in 2002, she went public with the fact that she has multiple sclerosis. As if that damnable stuff isn't enough, in 2006, she suffered a ruptured brain aneurysm that left her in a coma for a while and partially paralyzed. She fought back and regained her mobility, but still fights the MS. She retired from acting about 10 years ago, and since then I hope she's just enjoying life. After all she's given us, she deserves it.
It's kind of a family joke.
Oh, but you're a full-grown person now.
Well, you know how mothers are. Tradition and all that.
Well, does she send you a chocolate hen every year?
Are you kidding? I'm 34 years old.
But aren't there any family jokes about you?
He is the family joke.
She may or may not be following that. We'll leave the question to Jerry.
Great night to be inside.
Yeah, especially after the day I've had. A nice dinner, honey. And after a nice dinner...
Oh, I'm sorry, John. I didn't make any dessert. Look, there's some donuts in the cupboard.
It's okay. I know exactly what I want.
And for once, it's not you. At least not yet.
Where's my chocolate hen?
What?
My chocolate hen, it's gone.
She didn't know where it came from, so she gave it to the little boy next door. He scarfed the whole thing up right there in front of her and was ecstatically happy. John isn't.
What's the matter? That chocolate hen was my private property.
I'm sorry, hon. I didn't even know where it came from.
She was upstairs when Jerry brought it in. John is going to go a little overboard. Okay, a lot overboard with this, but I'm with him. If something appears like that and you don't know anything about it, ask before you do anything with it. He's had the day from down there, and the thing that kept him going was the thought of enjoying his mother's gift. Nobody seems to want to mention that part, including John.
Not really important, I guess. Although a person's personal property is not just something you cavalierly toss away.
What?
But it's okay.
He's trying to convince himself that it's not worth fighting over. He's not succeeding. Their problem now is they're both digging their heels in and doubling down on their side of the issue.
But what do you want with Ronnie Albertson's phone number?
It's really not important.
You want to find out if he's eating your chocolate hen, don't you?
Sometimes I hate your ESP.
He's trying to get over it, and she's not helping. He says she was insensitive and needs to apologize. She says he's being childish and needs to calm down.
Why are you so mad at me?
All right. You have no right to go around giving people's chocolate hens away.
What?
That was my personal hen.
John, you've got to be kidding. I gave it to a little boy who likes chocolate.
But it belonged to a big boy who likes chocolate. That's the whole point. You don't just give away something when you don't know where it came from or who put it there and why. She can read his mind. I don't know why she isn't getting this. Ann just came in the door. Let's get her some coffee.
Oh, honey, let me get it. You've been on your feet all day.
Oh, no, honey, you have too. Just sit down and relax. I'll get something.
You're terrific, John.
I think I'd better leave.
Why?
I've obviously interrupted a terrific fight.
Ever gave you that idea?
When two people are as nice to each other as you've been acting, they've usually had a beauty.
You're wrong, Ann. They're having a beauty. She'll make the coffee while they talk.
John, don't you think we're both acting a little ridiculous?
Both?
Well, it takes two to make a fight.
Yeah, I guess you're right, Sal. I got carried away, huh?
And I guess I should have tried harder to understand your point of view, no matter how silly it seems to me.
Silly?
To me. To me.
If she had stopped at point of view, this might have gone smoother. Still, they agreed to let it drop. He got his apology, sort of. I was leading this worship team at a church in central Arizona, and we had a music director who really sucked at reading the room. A major event was coming up, and he and we had a disagreement about some aspects of it. Out of the blue, he threw a hissy fit, chased us all away from him, and went screaming away in his truck. Well, To their credit, the church leaders insisted on getting together with us to sort it all out. We believed we were owed an apology, and he gave us one. In fact, he gave us 4. The elders asked if we accepted his apology. When they got to me, I said, it was sort of left-handed, but it's obviously the best we're going to get, so I suppose. They didn't give me a chance to explain what I meant. 3 of them at once pounced on me and told me my heart wasn't right with God. But here's the thing. He did just what Sally did here. 4 times he said, I'm sorry, followed by but and a statement of self-justification. If you're going to apologize to someone, say I'm sorry and leave it at that. The goal is to mend fences with the other person, not to defend yourself. It takes a big slice of that good old humble pie, but you know what? When the goal is to restore a relationship that's important to you, that pie tastes pretty good. John's discovering that right now. Kissing is way more fun than fighting.
Nine out of 100? Is that what you think of me? 9 out of 100?
I suggest you say something quick, Sally.
9 out of 100. Those are all for cleanliness.
Or not.
There, please.
That's Jerry's expression of sympathy. We hear that tune all over the place, but how many of us know what it is? It's called Hearts and Flowers. It's based on a theme by Hungarian composer Alphonse Cibulka and arranged by Theodore Moses Tabani. If those names don't mean anything to you, don't feel bad. I was a music major for 5 years, and I never heard of them either. It was published in 1893, and as quick as movies, radio, and every other medium discovered it, it became the theme song for My Heart Bleeds for You.
Jared, I really appreciate you taking me in like this.
That's okay. Actually, I like to have the company. Amber and me had a big fight, and she went to Peru.
Well, when she leaves, she really leaves, doesn't she?
She's a stewardess.
I've mentioned before that Jack Sheldon was an accomplished trumpet player, and I can tell both by the sound and by his fingers that he's playing that live into the boom mic. I suspect he's holding back so he doesn't get on the sound engineer's bad side.
What was your fight about?
Well, she cleaned out a lot of my junk today, and she threw out Snuffles.
Who?
You remember Snuffles, my teddy bear with the one eye missing and the chewed-off ear?
And you think I'm immature?
That's different. A chocolate hen you eat. Snuffles was forever.
I don't understand either of them. I've never gotten that attached to a thing. The only possible exception might be my first guitar. That instrument was my good right hand until I broke my left hand and couldn't play guitar anymore. Even then, I kept it and treasured it until I moved away to college and had to sell it. I wanted to play rock music. It was a nylon string classical guitar like this one, and I never once had a problem with that. I played the Beatles, Dave Clark 5, Jerry and the Pacemakers, and even the Kingsmen on it. But when it was time to let go, I let go. 40 years later, I acquired this beauty, and she's precious to me for another reason. My wife had to have both knees replaced, which meant she was incapacitated and in a lot of pain for a while. I helped her get around, brought her ice packs and all that. It's a natural thing to do. She did the same for me when I had my knee replaced. She surprised me with this guitar as a thank you for caring for her. I didn't need any thanks. Hey, she's my wife for pity's sake. But I didn't argue. Even so, if I had to let her go tomorrow, I could handle it. John and Jerry have a rather different approach to stuff than I do, I guess.
You mean he just yelled 9 out of 100 and left?
That's right.
Did you know what he meant by that?
No, but I know why he left. Little Ronnie Albertson ate his chocolate hen.
No, he left because he felt violated. Whether it's John with the chocolate hand or Jerry with the teddy bear, you arbitrarily took away something that was important to him, and you didn't even bother to find out if it was important to him or someone else before you did. That tells him that you have a level of insensitivity that he may or may not be able to deal with.
Anyway, he's probably out there somewhere catching pneumonia.
Maybe not. Maybe he's in a nice warm bed somewhere.
Alone. You need to add alone very quickly. At Jerry's place, neither of them can sleep, and John is catching a cold. They decide to have a hot drink.
Have you got something I can put on?
Yeah. You'll love this. It's real smooth.
You gotta be kidding. He's not kidding.
Remember who most of his temporary roommates are, and be glad he didn't hand you a lace camisole.
Well, did you like it?
It's different.
Irish.
Irish hot chocolate?
It's half whiskey. I tried to market this one time, but it never caught on.
Why not?
Made people throw up. You don't like it either.
No, it reminds me of the chocolate hen.
Boy, you're really hung up on that chicken. Not as if it was Snuffles.
I meant to remind me of the flight, Jer.
He says she should have told me about the ESP before we were married. And it's not just that.
It's just that I never suspected that she could be so insensitive. I mean, or that our attitudes could be so totally different.
Well, didn't you ever talk about anything before you got married?
Well, we didn't know each other that long.
Well, you went out. You must have talked about something.
Define talk.
Well, did you remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Well, what did you talk about?
Oh, we said everything that needed to be said.
They didn't necessarily talk extensively, but they communicated. And he's remembering the things that are actually important.
Now what are you looking for?
My shoes.
Are your feet cold?
I'm going home, Jer.
I don't know why you have to leave now. I mean, it's not like having Amber here, but it's the next best thing. Why don't you spend the rest of the night, and then it'll be fun having company for breakfast.
Get out of here!
By the way, she went to Peru, Indiana, not Peru, South America.
What's John doing here?
He left Sally because she only gave him 9 out of 100 on a rate your mate test.
Isn't that funny? That's the same score I gave you.
9?
Yeah, in the magazine at John's place this morning.
9 out of 100?
Well, you are very clean.
It wasn't even Sally who did it. No wonder she was so confused.
Well, I just can't believe he stayed away this long. Surely he must realize how wrong he is by now.
Sally, can I give you some advice?
I'd be grateful.
The whole thing is your fault.
I'm not grateful.
But she should be. Anne is going to lay it out for her. I can't escape the feeling that I've seen Zora Lampert in something else, but I can't find anything familiar in her credits. From 1954 to 1999, she worked steadily in movies and TV, and most of the roles she got were supporting, understated characters like Anne. Thing is, she was good at them, which is probably why she kept getting offered them. She retired from acting in 1999, but came back 10 years later to do 3 films. At last report, today she and her husband are enjoying retirement. I can empathize. Right now, she's explaining that John didn't leave because of the chocolate hen. He left because of her ESP.
Look, we all have childish feelings, right? And we hide them and suppress them and act like we're grown-up, mature adults, and we get away with it, right? John doesn't have that option.
To what? To act childish?
To get away with it.
The tumblers just fell into place. What? I get tired of using the light bulb metaphor.
Come to think of it, at first he did try to act like it didn't matter.
But you knew, and you confronted him with it, right?
I hate to admit it.
Why don't you tell him?
Maybe I should do more than that. I don't know, I just feel like we're always fumbling around.
I know. But marriage is a kind of unexplored territory.
You think Lewis and Clark didn't wander into a few box canyons or impenetrable forests? One day when I was working in a Christian bookstore in Denver, one of my coworkers was complaining about all the marriage help books on the shelf. She said, "Why do people need all those? Can't they just depend on the Lord?" I said, "People don't know how to be married. Someone who's figured it out can teach them. I see nothing wrong with that." She looked a little abashed, but she nodded in agreement. I had to wonder if she was suddenly remembering her own time as a newlywed. I'm gonna put my money on that's not Sally.
Would a chocolate bunny do? I went all over town looking for a chocolate hen and they were all out.
It's not what you're thinking. Really. It's not what you're thinking.
You expect me to believe that?
What's happening?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I do.
For one thing, she has to know Ann wouldn't do that to her. For another, she knows John.
I'll just go downstairs and find someplace else. Don't worry about me. I'm just fine.
I missed you.
I missed you too.
Let's not miss each other anymore.
I'm for that.
It's a nice idea, but there are times when you have to step back, take some time, and cool off. Most of you know the story of my divorce. It was the best thing that ever happened to our marriage. Basically, we took a year off, both got our heads on straight, and realized we belonged together. I'm glad it didn't take John and Sally a year. Next day, they celebrate by taking a long scenic drive, which leads to a delightful restaurant. John made the reservations.
But we phoned in our reservation 5 hours ago.
You must be mistaken, sir. If we had received your call, I assure you the reservation would be here.
We serve an exclusive clientele and we do not make mistakes about our reservations. If your reservation is not here, you must have been deemed unworthy to dine with us. I'm sorry, the matter is out of my hands.
Hey, we've been traveling all day, and we'd really appreciate it if you'd find us a table.
I told you, sir, we don't have any tables.
Yes, you do.
I beg your pardon.
You have 3, and we'll take the one by the window.
It really is handy having a wife with ESP.
What ESP? I wasn't using ESP.
How'd you know he had tables available?
By the sneer on his upper lip and the dollar signs in his eyes. It's a dead giveaway.
I'm gonna say she also looked around the room at some point. That's how she knew there was one by the window. She peeked. The subjects this show explores are fascinating, and the way Sally's ESP interacts with those subjects brings out aspects of them that couldn't really come up any other way. We all get childish and snippy, and society has rules about such things. But when you have somebody who can bend the rules, it leaves you wondering. I think part of the reason the show didn't catch on is the pacing. If you've seen the actual episode, you know I did some major rearranging because the continuity in the original is all over the place. It feels choppy and a little bland. Better editing could have helped a lot. The show has a lot to offer, especially to people who are new to marriage. And it has lots of good advice. For example, don't give away chocolate. One of the more interesting idea that we got on a Elvis Presley movies. I can say Elvis need anything, thinks, but she need that. Show explorers, would you please land? Okay, sweetie, back to one. Okay.